Hello everyone and welcome back to another Train Sim World 6 video. Today, I am going to be brutally ranking every single DLC that I have ever purchased for Train Sim World, and as you can see, we have quite a bit to get through. 97 of them, in fact. Yes, I've spent far too much money on this game over the years. Um, and yeah, let's hop straight into it. First off, Spirit of Steam. Really? Oh no. I don't like Spirit of Steam. Steam physics are still borked, route is boring, Spartan timetable, heavy performance hits in areas with lots of wagons in the sidings, still unoptimized. Yeah, that is an instant D tier. I'm sorry, but yeah, D tier for Spirit of Steam. Really only good for layers. It does layer onto Blackpool branches and Preston Carlisle, and will layer onto Preston Crew. So if you want to fill out the timetables for those two routes, then I highly suggest you pick it up. Anyway, it was actually, I think everybody who should be watching this should have it, since it was given away for free late 2025. I unfortunately spent money on it because, yeah, that giveaway hadn't been heard of yet. Number 2, Southeastern High Speed. A tier. That is because the route is decent, it's non-linear, it has the high-speed one, or the channel to the rail link from St Pancras to Ashford International, which is using the Class 395. And then there's also a crossover at Ebbsfleet onto the Chatham Main Line, and you get the Chatham Main Line between Dartford and Faversham. It's not as big as the Chatham Main Line add-on for TS Classic, which Dovetail did, which has basically the entire Chatham Main Line, all the 465 subvariants, all the 375 subvariants. But yeah, it's still decent. And there's the section of Southeastern High Speed from Hoo Junction to Rainham is getting included in the Medway Valley line, which is an upcoming route by Firefly Simulations, and that's also going to get a scenery overhaul as well. Yeah. Yeah. So, yes, pretty decent route. Some decent rail tours on there as well. Kassel Würzburg. Instead of ranking just the route and not the add-ons that layer onto that route, Bone Stock, the route, is probably a B tier. It's good practice for LZB, but it quickly gets boring because you only have 3 stations on the entire route. Freight runs take an age to do, like 2.5 hours for the longest ones, and they're all at night, of course. But the Ice one included is decent, and it also includes the Ice 3, which at the time was recycled from Hauptstrecke München Augsburg, which is another route that I refused to pick up. Next up, Cajon Pass. Bone stock, it's a C tier. You get some decent stock ES44C4 and SD40, both in BNSF colors, BNSF orange. Route quickly gets boring, it takes a long time to do. Going down the Cajon Pass, though, is a decent challenge. There's also a couple of add-ons which layer onto it, one of which we'll get to later, but also the Santa Fe on Cajon Pass gameplay pack by Higher End Simulations, which is another one that I refuse to pick up, which is still borked to this day. That add-on is awful. Anyway, speaking of awful add-ons, LGV Mediterranee. Instant D tier, no questions asked. Horrible scenery, short route length, only takes half an hour to complete, Spartan timetable. The TGV is decently modeled, and the only reason I keep it installed on my machine is because it shows up as AI on the revamped timetable on Köln-Aachen Remastered. Next up, Niddertalbahn. S tier. That route is getting on for 3 years old at this point. It's a bit short. It takes an hour to complete if you're doing an all-stops local service. But the scenery is still the standout from that add-on. That and the 628 diesel multiple unit. The scenery is gorgeous. Even to this day, it's a cut above other TSW routes, and it has a charm, and it has like a unique charm to it. The 628 as well is decently modeled and has also, as well as the DB Mint version, which layers onto Nidatalban and Link Rheinstrecke. It also includes a DB Modern Red version, which layers onto a lot of other routes as well, which Train Sim Germany included as a free update. I believe Nidatalban was the first route made by Train Sim Germany and released in spring 2023. That's 3 years ago, and I got this route pretty soon after it was released. That is nuts. I've been playing this game for almost 3 years. Next up, Great Western Express Remastered. Instant S tier, above Nidatalban. This is my favorite route in the game. Pre-remastered, I'd probably put it at C tier, but post-remaster, I have waxed lyrical about the job Grump Dog Games as Liam was able to do to this route. And the remaster was basically a solo project, which is nuts. And it has some features like heat haze from the diesel exhausts and rail singing sounds, which no other route has. God mode implementation, I don't think there are faults, which I'm not too fussed about because I don't use them. But yeah, it's Great Western Express Remaster is amazing, especially with the new 2017 timetable. You can play underground services with the class 484 from Island Line 2022 in a D-stock livery. Heathrow Connect services in a Heathrow Connect class 350. There's First Great Western 165s and 166s, First Great Western and Great Western HSTs. Yeah, it's just insane. The level of detail that has been put in, and the scenery as well, and the timetable, and literally everything. Next up, the Class 700 for Southeastern High Speed. A tier. Decent add-on. Good sounds, decently modeled, really do like it. And since I've been in a 700, I can confirm that the iron board seats and like the interior and everything is well modeled. However, the full-length version, the Stroke 1, is not included with this add-on. It's just the Stroke 0 RLU, which is the 8 car. Nor does it have a layer on the Brighton main line, which is a pretty big omission considering it is one of the staple electric multiple units on the Brighton main line, and it still hasn't got a layer on there after 2.5 years of being in the game. Next up, S-Bahn Vorarlberg. D tier, but I'm going to place it above Spirit of Steam. The reason for that is it has S-Bahn Vorarlberg has some decent scenery, especially around the Lake Constance area between Bregenz and Lindau Hauptbahnhof. However, only the Austrian Federal Railways 4024 is included, and while it is decently modeled in terms of visuals, it still has the wrong sounds. The Talent 2 uses sounds from the Talent 1. No. The Talent 1 uses the sounds from the Talent 2, which are inaccurate. And it still has the wrong sounds after well over 2 years. But yeah, as I said, the scenery is a bit of a redeemer. And it also has a layer for the RABE 523 and SBB colors from S-Bahn Central Schweiz if you happen to have that piece of junk by Rivet Games. Next up, it is the Railpool. Sorry, viewers, I just had a really loud megaphone truck go past my house. Next up, it's the Railpool Vectron, which was the first appearance of the Vectron in the game. I'm going to put this at 8. Do I put it below Southeastern High Speed? Yeah, I think I do. Decent add-on. Very good sounds, well modeled, and has layers basically everywhere that you can do German freight in this game. However, it is an add-on for officially for Nahverke Dresden, which isn't a route which is on sale anymore. And speaking of Nahverke Dresden, I'm probably gonna place it at a B tier, but above Castle Würzburg. Nahverke Dresden, I should say, is not on sale officially anymore for TSW6. The reason for that is Leipzig Dresden is now a thing, but if you buy Leipzig Dresden, you get Nahverke Dresden in as well. Nahverke Dresden was remastered up to TSW4 standards when it was bundled with TSW4 Deluxe Edition. That's how I got my hands on it. And it's a decent route. Only goes as far as Riesa, but you get fast lines, the slow lines, and the branches to Meissen, Nunkritz Chemical Plant, and Roderau. It's a pretty decent route. But I don't play it that much anymore because of Leipzig Dresden. Oh, whoops. Flying Scotsman, A tier, but below the Vectron? Do I place it below the Vectron? Yeah, I think I do. The Flying Scotsman, decently modeled, good sounds. But yeah, it still uses the Borked Steam physics, which have been a staple of Steam add-ons in this game for ages now. We are getting better Steam physics, but only on the upcoming Neckartalbahn route by Trains in Germany. So yeah, that's why I don't place it higher. It's still a good locomotive, it just has Borked physics. Next up, Peterborough Doncaster. B tier above Castle Würzburg. Actually, no. Do I put it in C tier? Actually, I think I'll move. Sorry, I'm retroactively moving stuff around, but I'll move Castle Würzburg down and keep East Coast, and I'll put you at the top of C tier as well. East Coast Mainline, Peterborough to Doncaster. Weird stretch that they chose to model, probably the most boring section of the entire East Coast Mainline. They only modeled the 801. There's no Grand Central 180, no Grand Central 220, no LNER 91 plus Mark 4s or the Mark 4 DVT, no Lumo Class 803, no Hull Trains Class 802, no LNER Class 800. Decent route, weird stretch of line that they chose to model, and also, yeah, the Class 801 sounds are recycled from an Electrostar of all things. So yeah, that's why it's not going higher. We need more East Coast Mainline in this game, developers. Like, just please, like, East Coast Mainline, Edinburgh Waverley to Newcastle upon Tyne would be awesome. And then that would give us a chance to do route hopping to the Tyne and Weir Metro, if we ever got that in the game. Anyway, Antelope Valley Line. D tier. Actually, I'll place it above Spirit of Steam. Decent scenery. It's the full Antelope Valley Line, but Spartan timetable, boring, very boring stretch of line, and you need the San Bernardino line in order to, and the F59 PHI in order to flesh out the timetable properly. And yeah, it's just boring as heck, and do not get it, please. Next up, the Europhoenix Class 37, which is like the first gameplay pack which I got. I think I'm going to put this A tier because it allows you to do something. It allows you to do electric multiple unit drags, which were completely new at the time, and it has layers on the Southeastern High Speed, Brighton Mainline, Great Western Express Remaster. A lot of places you could drive it, and it's decently modeled, TPWS, and the cab are done well, that kind of thing. Next up, Blackpool Branches. You're going in S tier. Decent route. Good scenery. I can vouch for that myself, as I've been along the Blackpool South branch from Preston in real life. You get the British Rail Pacer in provincial, GMPTE orange and skipper liveries. and you get the Class 47 in 3 different liveries, and you get the Class 08 in 2 different liveries. And yeah, for just Trades' first ever effort for the game, really, really, really decent. It, I think the only thing which I don't like about Blackpool branches is the Class 86 and 87 from Preston Carlisle do not layer in as AI at Preston. You just see the Class 47 during the West Coast Main Line services, which is not realistic, of course. Anyway, next up, Boston Sprinter. I think that's gonna go B tier. It's my favorite American route, but that doesn't mean it's good. It's got some scenery's not the best, but it does have some decent rolling stock. Amtrak Acela, top of C tier, I think. The Acela used to be my favorite American train, but the horn especially is weird. But actually, I think I'll put it bottom of B tier. Never mind. I think what isn't making it go higher is the absolutely terrible horn, which still hasn't been improved to this day. Midland Main Line by Skyhook Games. Initially terrible, but I think it's deserving of an A tier, above the Railpool Vectron. Reason for that is route's really, really decent, good scenery. The Class 158's good. The EMT HST is decent. I think the only reason it's not going higher is it only goes as far as Derby and not all the way up to Sheffield, and also it doesn't have an EMT Class 222 or an EMT Class 156, both of which were at the time Midland Main Line staples. Next up, Link Rheinstrecke, a rare one of the only German retro electrified routes. I think I put this top of B. Some odd scenery, but the 103 and the 110 are done really nicely. You also get intercity coaches, and yeah, like it's a decent route. Cathcart Circle. What do I do with you? I think I'd put you bottom of A tier, because even without the Class 380 add-on, the Cathcart Circle Remastered is a very, very decent route. And the 314 is decently done as well. And it's non-linear as well. You get the whole Cathcart Circle, the branches to Shields Depot, Neilston, and Newton. Then the Brighton Main Line. I think you're going here. Decent route for its time, when it released as part of Trains of World 2 Rush Hour. However, the main thing that isn't letting it go higher is the lack of a Class 700 layer from Southeastern High Speed, because the Class 700, both the Stroke 0 and Stroke 1, are integral parts of the rail scene, and yet they're just nowhere to be seen unless you have the mod timetable from trainsim.cz. Yeah. That's the main reason it isn't going higher. Next up, Bakerloo. Bottom of C tier, because Bakerloo, while it was a decent route for its time. The section north of Queen's Park is eerily empty because nothing substitutes in from West Coast Main Line south to fill out the timetable a bit. All you see is the occasional Class 66 freight service, which makes the route feel very quiet and very, eerily quiet when it's one of the busiest lines in the UK. Anyway, the 1938 tube stock by Rivet Games. Ooh. I think bottom of B tier. Some odd sounds, not much playability, but very, very well visually modeled. And I can personally attest to that because I have wandered around the 1938 tube stock in the London Transport Museum. Bernina Line, the only Swiss route I have by Rivet Games. B tier under Link Rheinstrecke. Reason for that is it's a decent route, good mountain scenery, very well modeled Allegra multiple unit, But there are no Bernina Express coaches to this day, and the route only goes as far as Ospezia Bernina when Rivet laid all the way all the way, to Saint Moritz, which is pretty weird, but that just cuts itself off at Ospezia Bernina. But to be fair, doing Tirano to Ospezia does take an hour and a half, so yeah, it's still decently long route. It's just not the full Bernina line. West Somerset Railway. I think I move Cathcart Circle and then put West Somerset Railway Remastered here. Because this is the first remaster that Liam of Grub Dog, ever did. And it is so good. Like, all of the stock has dynamic suspension, the routes updated to Todd 4 lighting, the scenery is excellent. There's a new Steam Gala timetable, there's Great Western Mainline AI. It's pretty dang good, this route. It just takes an age to complete because doing the Minehead to Bishop's Lydiard run takes an hour and a half because, yeah, its maximum speed, since it's a heritage line, is only 25 miles an hour. Next up, it's the British Rail Maroon Class 52 Western. This was another one to receive. This is, both it and the 33 are add-ons for the West Somerset Railway and have received the remastered treatment and have dynamic suspension and so forth. Where do I put these? I think I put... no. There. No. There. And I also put the Class 33 there as well. Both of these are very, very good add-ons. The 52 also substitutes onto the Riviera line for Rail Tour, and the 33 also does some stuff on the Suffragette line and Southeastern High Speed. So you can give it... So you can do higher speed runs than you would normally be able to. Let me see. Next up, Peak Forest. C tier under Peterborough to Doncaster. Well, Peak 4, it does have some decent scenery, and the Fowler 4F is well made. The steam physics are still borked to this day, and while there's no diesel services, because this route is set in the 1960s, there were early diesel multiple units and locomotives puttering around, but there's no layers for them, and there's none included. Simtrack Studios was making a Class 104 add-on for Peak Forest, plus a Cough Hop wagon, I think, but that was cancelled, it seems, because it just been vanished from the roadmap and was never spoken of again. So everyone's assumed it's been cancelled, which is very sad because, yeah, it would have dramatically improved Peak Forest. Anyway, Peninsula Corridor. I think B tier. Well, it still has it has some pretty bad scenery, but very decent rolling stock and decent timetable. You can't buy any of the pre TSW6 versions anymore because they are because Dovetail was forced to pull everything that they were selling with Caltrain branding, so they made a TSW6 version without the Caltrain branding, but there is a mod on the Train Sim community website that re-adds the branding. MP36PH from Peninsula Corridor has some older sounds, but I'm still going to put it in B tier. Decent locomotive. Island Line 2022. S tier. Best route Rivet games ever made by a country mile. Good scenery, lots of little details. Only 8 miles long, but still fun to drive, and a decently modeled Class 484. And if you have this, you also get a layer in the new 2017 timetable on the GWE. However, The 484 is supplied in a fictional unbranded Island Line livery because Southwestern Rail kicked up a fuss about the licensing, so Rivet had to pull all the SWR branding. There is a enhancement pack which adds proper Island Line branding back in on the interior posters, on the outside, and also in posters around. Yeah, so if you're on PC, highly recommend you get the Island Line 2022 enhancement pack. It hasn't been updated for a while, but it still works. Next up, Railhead Treatment Train. Bottom of B tier, I think. While the wagons themselves are decently modeled, it recycles the Class 66 yet again, but it does layer onto a lot of routes, and it's a kind of gameplay which is, yeah, pretty interesting. The Caltrain MP15DC Shunter. I think I put you B tier above the MP36 because this is actually the only cab over shunter in the entire game. And sadly, it's not compatible with Creators Club because I would love to get Sandpatch grade, stick this in a CSX livery, and do some shunting on Sandpatch, but unfortunately we can't. It's also unbranded due to the aforementioned Caltrain licensing issue. Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr. Top of D tier. Probably the worst German route in the game. Very boring. Not very good scenery. Spartan timetable. Yeah, it's just not... and way too short. Though, Foles World, the developers who helped out with the Köln-Aachen remaster, the very recent Köln-Aachen remaster, are making a Duisburg to Mönchengladbach, I think that's how you pronounce it, route. So maybe we'll see Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr get some love. I don't know. But yeah. The original Dovetail BR-101. Bottom of C tier. Has not aged well, would be putting it mildly. The Expert 101 has blown this old version out of the water in every conceivable way possible. Like for exterior modeling, sounds, layering, everything. The only reason I keep it installed is to have static stock and a couple of services for the Expert 101 at Köln Depot and Köln-Aachen. Harlem Line... B tier. Decent route. M7 and M3 are quite good, and we're also having a bit of the Harlem Line getting included with the upcoming New York Stamford route, which, yeah, I'm probably not going to get, but there you go. Harlem Line's pretty decent, and it's also decently long as well. 5 Circle Line, probably, in its default state, probably B tier, because, yeah, well, the scenery is decent for the most part. The default timetable only includes services for the Class 170 and a Flying Scotsman rail tour. Excuse me, which leads to the timetable feeling quite repetitive and empty. So, yeah. But, yeah, the scenery's decent, especially the 4th rail bridge. BNSF SD70 ACE for Cajon Pass. Probably C tier, because, yeah, it's another thing for Cajon Pass, which I never really play. But also, it's noticeably less well-modeled than the default Cajon Pass stock, because it's just straight up recycled from Sherman Hill in a different livery. Yeah, there you go. Suffragette Line. Where would this go? A tier, I think. decent, only 13 miles long, but a decent route. You get to do the full run from Gospel Oak to Barking Riverside. Class 710 is very well modelled. I'm a big fan of it. And yeah, it's a very decent route. And it takes about 45 minutes to complete a full run. Yeah, decent route, can recommend. And the 710 also layers onto West Coast Main Line South as well. For Watford DC line services. Semmeringbahn. B tier above the Harlem line because while the scenery is decent, you only get the 4024 Talent 1 again with the wrong sounds, and you also get the 1116 Taurus, which is a decent locomotive, but the Taurus wasn't new to the game. It was just an upgraded model of the BR182 from Hamburg to Lubeck, with some new bits of modeling and some better sounds. So, but the Semmeringbahn does have some decent coverage. Goes all the way out to Wiener Neustadt Hauptbahnhof instead of just terminating at Glognitz like its TS Classic counterpart did. And you also only get the OBB BMZ second class coaches instead of getting the full roster. Also, you don't get any Railjet or Nightjet stock either as run on the route in real life, which is a major, major shame. Next up, Clinchfield Railroad. Where would I put this? Probably B tier. No, let me move you. Move you along. What are you... Why aren't you letting me move it down here? No. Okay, everything's getting out of order. Hang on. Just need to reorder everything. Everything's getting out of order here. Bam. 1938 stuff. Why aren't you letting me place stuff down here? Ugh, that's not good. Guess I'll just place stuff in B tier. Okay, guess the order just doesn't matter anymore. That's annoying. ScotRail Express. Probably B tier. And yeah, as I said, order doesn't matter anymore because yeah, it's just not letting me reorder stuff anymore. But yeah, ScotRail Express, decent route coverage, but the Class 385 included, while decently visually modeled, has some of the most atrocious sounds of any British electric multiple unit, which you need a sound mod to fix, basically. And the Sprinter Express timetable also has a bunch of services as well. Engineering Express, C tier. Basically, the only new thing included in Engineering Express is a couple of new liveries for the Class 66 that don't even have any interior changes, and that's basically it. And a couple of 3D model nameplates on the Ocean Network Express one. Salzburg Rosenheim, B tier. Pretty decent. Takes a while to complete. First time the BR111 appeared in the game. And also has a layer for the Expert 101 as well. Well, it's the route that you're supposed to have when you get the Expert 101, because the Expert 101 has scenarios on this line. Anyway, Hamburg-Lubeck. C tier. Pretty short. Should have been extended to Kiel. And it's just a mediocre route. Poor scenery. It just takes too short a time to complete. BR218 for Hamburg, Lubeck, and Main-Tauern. Instant S tier. This is one of my favorite German locomotives in the game. It is a very decent add-on, I must say. Cathcart Circle. I already did Cathcart Circle. Where did I put it? There it is. So Class 380 for Cathcart Circle adds a new 2024 timetable to the Cathcart Circle. The Struck 0 and Struck 1 versions are included, and it is a very decently modeled unit with excellent sounds. ScotRail Class 158 from Skyhook Games. I must say, another A tier, but not as high up, of course. Reason for that is it layers onto ScotRail Express and Fife Circle. The Fife Circle timetable still has a lot of bugs. Also has a Leathermouth Rail Link livery for Fife Circle. And it also layers onto Cathcart Circle and Manchester Airport Commuter for some reason. Yeah, decently modeled add-on. It's basically the East Midlands Class 158 with a few minor changes. But for some reason, the ScotRail 158 and the Class 380, the 380 was new to the game, the 158 wasn't, yet they both cost the same, which is just, wait, what? Yeah, anyway, West Coast Mainline South. I hate to do it, and I'm probably going to annoy a lot of people by doing this. Top of C tier. Route is too short, it only terminates at Milton Keynes instead of going up to, I don't know, Rugby, Stafford. There's only one version of the Class 350 included. And in the default timetable, there's not enough London Underground or Overground services to be realistic. Class 390 Pendolino, A tier. I know I just gave the West Coast Mainline South a top of C tier, but this is an A tier. I do like the Pendolino. Decent sounds, decent modeling. Quite a fun train to drive, though on the routes it currently has two main layers for it. Layers on West Coast Mainline South and Birmingham to Crewe. But it feels like a caged animal on both those lines because they're so short. But I don't have Birmingham to Crewe, I just have South. It should get a longer leg stretch on the upcoming Trent Valley line by All Aboard Studios. San Bernardino line. D tier, above the Antelope Valley. Bit more decent than Antelope Valley, more stock included. Bit more interesting, but still very, very, very boring. But you do see, if you have Cajon Pass, you do see a lot of freight stuff, and you get some freight layers. Kinzigtauban. C tier. The reason for that is, well, the route is decently long, and it also has the iced tea. The iced tea still has rubbish sounds on both Kinzigtauban and Leipzig-Dresden. And to cap it all off, Kinzigtauban still is an absolute performance hog, despite being out for over a year, and it's still an unoptimized piece of crap. Anyway, Preston Carlisle by Just Trains. Instant S tier, no questions asked, bloody amazing route, can highly, highly recommend. You get over 100 miles of track, the 95 odd miles from Preston Carlisle, and then the short branch to Morecambe. You get the Class 87 in British Rail Blue and a lot of different variants of Intercity. You get the Mark 3 coaches, the Mark 1s, Mark 2s, the 47, the 08. Yeah, a lot of stuff included. Maintauban B tier. Maintauban is not a particularly interesting route, but the 642 is decent. The BR642 included is decently modeled, has a bunch of layers for the BR218, 628, and the Voslo G6, and the 642 layers onto a ton of other routes as well, so it's basically a necessity for the German stuff nowadays. Sherman Hill. I actually picked up this one for free in a giveaway. I have only ever driven the full length once, and it's pretty boring, but still has decent scenery, thoughtful lighting, and the SD70 and SD40 are decent. It's just quite boring. It's just incredibly boring in order to do a run. It takes almost 2 hours to do a full length run. So C tier under Cajon Pass, because I still think Cajon Pass beats it out in terms of like rolling stock variety. Ooh, Köln Aachen Remastered. Köln Aachen was the German launch route for Trains in World 2, but it has received the remaster treatment, Toddfall lighting, foliage upgrade, no dynamic suspension or stuff like that, and the Talent 2 still has a very annoying bug where the low tone of the horn cuts out, but I still think this is deserving of an A tier. Because, yeah, the route's quite good now, especially with the revamped timetable. Rhymra Austin. D tier, but above Rhymra, Hauptstrecke Rheinruhr. Because, yeah, Rhymra Austin is short, really short. But you do at least get both the metro and the bypass lines. And literally the only reason why I got this route is because it's the route you need if you want the Vossloh G6, which is the next one that we'll be talking about. And another reason, right, Rhymra Austin was relegated to D tier is because the Wuppertal Schwebebahn, a very interesting railway, is very, very poorly modeled, and you can't even drive on it. Vossloh G6 Train Sim Germany, bottom of S tier. Absolutely, Train Sim Germany's first ever product for this game. Very, very decently modeled, good sounds. I think my only points against it are it's for Rhymra Austin, a very, very boring route. And also, it comes supplied in DB branding by default because, unfortunately, Train Sim Germany were unable to procure a Vossloh license, and they released it under the DB license because they had no other choice. New York to Trenton. D tier. Only good for layers. Short. Laggy. Just not good at all. Glossop line. B tier. Short, but at least it's a full line run, and the 323 included is decent, but not up to the Manchester 323 standards. Ooh, West Cornwall local. You go there, sunshine. Literally, the only reason why I got West Cornwall local was because I needed it to complete my layers on Preston Carlisle, and this route is awful. Like, genuinely. West Cornwall local is terrible. The 150 is, while decently modeled, has terrible, like, really, really awful sounds. There's no Valenta HST as was present at the time. And the scenery is, to put it bluntly, is insanely bad. Anyway, Tees Valley. C tier. Definitely showing its age, but it's still fun to tootle around between the different steelworks from time to time. Class 20, A tier, aged quite well, decent sounds, lots of layers. Class 31, I think that got A tier as well. Same thing as the 20, because yeah, they're both very decently well done. Lots of layers on other British Rail era routes, including, I think the 31 also layers on Diesel Legends of the Great Western. Northern Transpennine. C tier. Pretty bad scenery by today's standards, but decently done rolling stock, including a Class 45 and a Class 101. BR Heavy Freight Pack. C tier again. Sounds and modeling are definitely aging. But yeah, I still enjoyed driving the Class 40 from time to time. And both Northern Transpennine and the BR Heavy Freight Pack layer onto Blackpool branches and Preston Carlisle. Mittenwaldbahn. S tier. 100%. Train Sim Germany did a superb, like, I really do mean superb job on this route. Best scenery, I must say, of any route in Train Sim world. And yeah, like, and the OBB 1020 is very well done, and the improved 111 is also excellent. Like, no questions asked with that one. Ah, yes. The New Journeys S-Bahn Köln BR423. I think I'll put you in B tier. Got the remaster treatment, along with the Köln Aachen remaster, and it has a lot of services on that line, especially in the revamp timetable. However, I've heard from reliable sources that that this version of the 423 has the wrong interior, since it's straight up recycled from München to Augsburg with S-Bahn Köln stickering instead of S-Bahn München. Anyway, Expert 101. S tier. No questions asked. This is probably the only study level train in the entire game. Like, the level of detail which they have done. Circuit breakers are modeled. Basically all the faults are modeled. Bunch of different liveries included. Lots of timetable layers. Brilliant sounds. Like, Train Sim Germany knocked it out of the park. And, to top it all off, there's another expert locomotive coming. In the form of the BR145, which is a derivative of the Bombardier Trax family, which will be in DB and, what is it, RPH liveries, and also have a T1300E container wagon with DHL branded trucks on the back. Oh, hello. Thomas and friends visit the West Somerset Railway. Decent pack. Thomas is very well modeled. It was basically a test case to see how well a new Thomas game would work. But I would advise you not pick it up and wait for the new Thomas and Friends Wonders of Sodor game, which Dovetail are currently working on, which will have like a lot of the Isle of Sodor and a lot more characters. In this pack, you get a bunch of story scenarios, a new timetable, and Thomas and Diesel. So not too much. But yeah, it's still a decent pack. So I will put you in A tier. There we go. Next up, mein Spessartbahn. Bit of a challenge to drive, but very, very much showing its age. And for some reason, trains with dynamic suspension on this route just caused the suspension to just go nuts and nearly fling the train off the rails. So I think I'll put you in C tier. Cardiff City Network, A tier. Very well done. Class 153, excellently upgraded Class 150, with both of them having new sound packs. And yeah, it's just a decent route, very non-linear, basically a diesel Cathcart circle. Bremen to Oldenburg, B tier, bit short, pretty uninteresting, but still has a layer for the Expert 101 and the 110, and wagons are decent. Cargo Line Volume 4, Military. Probably my favorite of the cargo packs, and the first one I ever got. So you're going A tier, layers on Preston Carlisle with trucks on the wagons, and Great Western Express remastered with the trucks. So, no, it's APCs on Preston Carlisle and trucks on Great Western Express remastered, and the KWA Woolwell wagon is probably one of the best modeled wagons in the entire game. Like, the weathering is superb on those wagons. Anyway, BR194 and E94 Rail Tour Pack. I actually haven't really driven the E94 since that only layers onto Falsiche Ludwigsbahn, which is a route that I refuse to pick up to this day. But it is a very decent pack, has a lot of decent upgrades compared with the Crocodile from Mittenwaldbahn, and it has an excellent 1984 timetable for Link Rheinstrecke. So I think you are going to go bottom of S tier? I think above the G6. Anyway. MBTA Providence / Stoughton line. HSP 46 basically includes a new timetable for Boston Sprinter, and people who own Boston Worcester get this for free. So if you also have Boston Sprinter, I do like it. HSP 46, very well done. That's probably the only American train so far to go in A tier. There we go. Class 86 by Just Trains. Well, the Stroke 2 version. S tier above Preston Carlisle. Second favorite add-on in the game. Absolutely superbly modeled, excellent Armstrong Powerhouse sound, and integrate seamlessly into the base, Cargo Line 4 and Cargo Line 5 timetables on Preston Carlisle. What is this? Birmingham Cross City. Dovetail Games. Pretty old route, if I'm being honest. Over 3 years old at this point. Still decent with decent scenery, and it's a full Cross City line, so I will put you in A tier. There we go. Expert BR 101 on Castle Würzburg gameplay pack. Some incredible scenarios included with this, and a new timetable for Castle Würzburg. Probably bottom of S tier. There we go. Yeah, that makes sense. Svolda Groningen. Probably the only Dovetail add-on that's going to go in S tier for this video, apart from Great Western Express Remaster. Excellent route. So far the only Dutch route that's been done for the game. And yeah, it is a very decent add-on. The Koploper and the SNG3 are excellently modeled, have really good sounds, and the scenery is excellent. Cargo Line Volume 3 by Skyhook Games. This is for West Coast Mainline South, East Coast Mainline, and what is it? Midland Mainline. I think a B tier. FCA wagons are decent. I think it's deserving of a B tier. West Midlands Rail and Cross Country Class 1 70 pack A tier, because yeah, that pack on Birmingham Cross City is a lot of fun, and the timetable also has a layer for the Class 220, which is very cool. Cargo Line Volume 5 Nuclear B tier. Pretty well modeled direct rail services Class 20, however it's unbranded, but I think the main part where this add-on suffers is the lack of timetable services. You only get 4 timetable services on West Coast Mainline South, and only 2 of them are in daylight. But the wagons also, the FKA wagons, Nuclear Flask wagons, also layer onto Preston Carlisle, which is a bit weird because the versions of the FKAs included are from the 2010s, so seeing them on a 1980s route is somewhat weird, but it does the job. Cargo Line Volume 2 Aggregates by Skyhook Games. Oh, come on. B tier. Decent add-on layers on Midland Mainline and Great Western Express Remaster, and will also layer on Medway Valley. But, yeah, not... decently modeled HOA wagons, not that interesting, if I'm being honest. Same with Cargo Line Volume 1 Petroleum, layers on Midland Mainline, Great Western Express Remaster, and yeah. It's decently modeled VTG tanker wagon, but yeah, not too interesting, it's just a wagon. Arriva / Transport for Wales, Class 142 Pacer. I think this is deserving of a S tier. I do love me some Pacer action, and yeah, it's a decently done add-on. The timetable still that comes with it, the 2019 one, still has a couple of bugs. However, unfortunately, the Class 153 and Class 150, which have been both put in Arriva liveries, the 153 doesn't appear as AI for some reason to this day, and it hasn't been fixed, which I'm a bit concerned about, but anyway. Riviera Line, S tier, no questions about it. Excellently done by Dovetail and Rivet Games. Beautiful stretch of English seaside running. Class 220, B tier. Lots of layers on other stuff, decently modeled, but the sounds are from Train Sim Classic, and it shows. The sounds are not particularly good. Morristown, B tier again. While the Arrow 3 is quite good, and the updated ALP 46 is nice, Morristown has horrendous performance issues on my machine, because there's just so much static stock lying around. Yeah, that's why I haven't made too many videos on it. The ALP 45 DP also gets a B tier. I haven't driven it too much, but it is decently modeled, but the diesel sounds are just straight up recycled for the EMD F125 from Antelope Valley, so which is not realistic. Leipzig Dresden, A tier. I know that's probably going to surprise a lot of you since Leipzig Dresden hasn't had the best of receptions, but I was one of the people clamoring for a Nahverker Dresden extension, and it has been done decently. Also, this is the route that the Expert BR145 is going to be made for, so hopefully we'll get an Expert timetable and the Expert 101 will finally layer onto Leipzig Dresden. Anyway. DBBR294, Diesel Shunter, you are decent, you are going in A tier. Bit complicated, but still a lot of fun to drive. HK Bogey Hopper Wagon Pack. Honestly, a C tier. I only got it for layers on the Great Western Express remaster. And while the wagons are decently weathered, it's just simply a reskin of the HKAs from Great Western Express, and that's basically it. And there's not a ton you can do with them. It is pretty cheap, though, so that is one way you can take off a layer. Diesel Legends of the Great Western. How do I rank this one? It's a 1980s timetable on a 2016 era route with upgraded stock. I honestly think I have to put it in B tier. Concept's a bit weird. Stock is well modeled, I have to say. East Coastway. Currently, that and the 313 are currently B tier. East Coastway and the 313 are currently going through the remaster treatment. No sign of when that'll be released, but yeah, I just got them in preparation for the remaster, and also Rivet Games are doing a Southern Class 171 and a 377/3 pack for East Coastway in preparation for the remaster. So there you have it. That's all of my add-ons ranked. I do notice that B tier seems to be the largest one. So just to recap, S tier has Great Western Express Remaster, the Class 86/2, Preston to Carlisle, the Expert 101, Mittenwaldbahn, Blackpool Branches, Niddertalbahn, Island Line 2022, the BR218, BR194 and E94 Rail Tour Pack, Voslo G6, Expert 101 on Castle Würzburg Gameplay Pack, Zwolle to Groningen, Transport for Wales, Pacer, and Riviera Line. A tier has Southeastern High Speed, the Class 700, the Midland Main Line, Cathcart Circle Remastered, the Class 380, West Somerset Remastered, the Class 52 in maroon, the Class 33, the Suffragette Line, the Railpool Vectron, Flying Scotsman, Class 37 in Rail Operations Group livery, ScotRail Class 158, Avanti Pendolino, Köln Aachen Remastered, the Class 20, the Class 31, Thomas and Friends visit the West Somerset Railway, the Class 153, Cargo Line Volume 4, the HSP 46 on Boston Sprinter Pack, Birmingham Cross City, the West Midlands Rail and Cross Country Class 170 Pack, Leipzig to Dresden and BR294. B tier has Link Rheinstrecke, the Bernina Line, Nahverker Dresden, what are you? Boston Sprinter, the Acela, Fife Circle Line, Semmeringbahn, Harlem Line, Clinchfield Railroad Peninsula Corridor, the MP15DC, the MP36PH, Railhead Treatment Train 1938 stock, ScotRail Express, Salzburg Rosenheim, Maintalbahn, Glossop Line, S-Bahn Köln BR423, Bremen Oldenburg Cargo Line Volume 3, Cargo Line Volume 5, Volume 2, and Volume 1. The Cross Country Class 220, Morristown, the ALP 45 DP, Diesel Legends of the Great Western, East Coastway, and the Class 313. C tier has West Coast Main Line South, East Coast Main Line Peterborough Doncaster, Peak Forest, Kinzigtalbahn, Brighton Main Line Castle Würzburg, Cajon Pass, the BNSF ST-70 ACE, Sherman Hill, Bakerloo, the Dovetail 101, Engineering Express, the Hamburg Lübeck, Tees Valley, Northern Transpennine, BR Heavy Freight Pack, Mein Spessartbahn, and HK Bogey Hopper Wagon Pack, and D tier has Rheinruhr Osten, Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr, New York to Trenton, S-Bahn Vorarlberg, San Bernardino, the Antelope Valley Line, what are you? West Cornwall Local, Spirit of Steam, and LGV Mediterranee. So yeah, most add-ons are decent. Some are mediocre, some are really bad, and some are absolutely excellent, like all the stuff in S tier. And so yeah, that'll be all for this video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and I'll see you all on the next one. Goodbye.